Hello, my name is Xavier with Exotic Aquatics, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install CO2 onto your Planet Aquarium. The first thing that you're going to need is a CO2 cylinder of some sort, your CO2 regulator, a diffuser, pliers to install said regulator, CO2 proof air hose, and a bubble counter, some water to fill the bubble counter. And that's pretty much everything that you're going to need. Alright, we're going to start with installing the regulator. You're going to want to make sure that the O-ring or some type of seal is present in your regulator. Take your CO2 bottle, line up the threads. Sometimes it's easier to go backwards a few times until you feel it kind of line up, and then slowly but surely start threading it in. Be sure not to cross thread it. If it feels like it's going in pretty tight, it's probably the wrong way. Back it off and retry it. Then taking your pliers, gently grab and make sure that that regulator is nice and secure. You can also make sure that your regulator is flush and horizontal if you want to make sure that it looks presentable. Taking those same pliers, we can take off this little ring here. That is allowing us to add in our bubble counter. You're going to want to make sure that the bubble counter is nice and tight because we're going to be putting a lot of pressure through it, and we want to make sure that it doesn't leak. Removing the top of your bubble counter, then pouring in some water, just enough until it's filled. Screwing back on the lid. And with these, you don't want to tighten too hard because it is thin acrylic. Then you can remove the same locking washer, the locking nut on the top. Then taking your CO2 proof air hose, simply pass the hose through the top, sticking it onto the bubble counter. It helps to have a nice flush cut on the hose so it lays flat. Then retighten the locking nut. Taking your pliers and gently tightening until you feel little to no resistance, or until you feel enough resistance that you're comfortable. Once it's nice and tight, you can take your other end and attach it straight to your diffuser. And it's as simple as that. Now that you've got everything installed, you're going to want to open up your CO2 cylinder until you see the pressures raise. Then tighten it as tight as possible and let it sit for a few hours and make sure that those dials do not drop any. That ensures that there's a seal between the CO2 tank and your regulator. And now it's time to tune our solenoid. Each solenoid is a little bit different, but this one specifically, by turning on the center dial, controls the output pressure. By loosening it, it lowers it, and by tightening it, it raises it. Personally, I'm going to want to keep it around 50 to 60 psi, but you can run between 30 and 40 if it's just a single tank. And now it's time to tune the bubble count. What you're going to see is an array of bubbles coming through your diffuser. That is the amount of CO2 that is being injected into the aquarium. For beginning and for starting with CO2, a few bubbles at a time is all you need. Slowly open the needle valve until 1 to 2 bubbles flows through. Now this is something that you are going to have to check in the future because right now there is a lot of pressure going through the line and the diffuser. Once that pressure is relieved and the diffuser soaks, the speed might change a little bit, so you do have to adjust your bubble count. It is definitely worth the investment to buy a CO2 indicator with indicator solution
if you plan on running high amounts of CO2 because it can and will affect the pH of the water.
Another great addition is a timer, whether it's a smart timer or a mechanical timer. By setting it to turn on 1 hour before the lights turn off and an hour before the lights turn on, you will have great CO2 absorption by your plants. Congratulations on your new CO2 injected aquarium. I hope this video was able to help you, and if it was, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.